Welcome to the Uncle Jim Effect podcast. My name is Dennis DeLoach, and I'm going to be your host. Thank you so much for being here and joining us. This has been a tremendous journey for me, and I hope for you as well. And I can't thank you enough for all of the success that we've had. We're approaching 16,000 subscribers and hundreds of thousands of views, and it's all because of you, and I'm so grateful for that. Please subscribe below and like the podcast. Please leave comments. I love reading those. They mean the world to me. We're also now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or anywhere else that you get your podcast. So let's get started on this Friday focus. This will be just a short introduction. It's episode number 27, but this might be, well, no, it's not. This is the most important uh, concept or attribute that we can have as human beings. So, episode 27 is on charity. And charity is the greatest human attribute that we can have. So, let's talk about that and discuss exactly what charity is. So, the definition I'm going to use for charity is one that I have found in scripture. And it says, "But charity is the pure love of Christ, and it endureth forever. And whoso is found possessed of it at the last day, it shall be well with him." So, charity is the pure love of Christ. What does that mean? You don't have to be a religious person to understand that the pure love of Christ is a perfect ability to care and love for others and to put them first and to always be thinking of their needs, and that all of the actions we take at any time, we're always taking into account how that affects others and how it can benefit them. So there's no selfishness in charity. There's no me in charity. And there's no envy in charity. Charity is the pure love of doing things for the right reason. And what's amazing is as you do that, the one that gets blessed by far and away the most is us. And so it really is a selfish act to perform the most unselfish service, which is charity. Brian Tracy, one of the great, business minds and motivators and speakers of all time, had a comment that I heard about a decade ago, and I've loved it. And I hope you enjoy it as well. He says, "Always give without remembering, and always receive without forgetting." Isn't that awesome? So anytime you give, forget about it. Sometimes as humans will give things and think, well, they owe me, or that was really nice of me to do. But the most important concept and principle behind giving is that we forget about that and just continue to do it. But when somebody gives to us, we need to always remember and never forget, because that is an important concept. So we talked about the definition of charity, and I want to talk about why is charity so important. We've talked about a couple of things, but if we have a charitable heart and a charitable disposition to do good, if we're always thinking about, do our actions uh, create an environment of peace and love towards others? That doesn't mean we have to be soft. That doesn't mean we have to carry around a Bible all day, although there's nothing wrong with that. Charity means that on the inside, that our thought process is simply, I'm a blessed person. The air I breathe, the heartbeat I have, is a gift from God. And so the least I can do is to have a positive attitude and to have gratitude in my heart and realize that all He's asking of me is to love those around me and do the best I can, when I can, how I can, to help them. Because if they're thinking that same thing, they're going to help me when I need it. And that's why we never forget when someone does something good for us. So it's impossible to give to others without getting more back yourself. I found that concept to be absolutely true in my life. And I'd like to share a few examples of that. As I've mentioned many times, my background is that of being a dentist. I practiced for about 35 years, and I had so many opportunities to perform service. And I want to talk about just a couple of those. Had the opportunity many times to go to Mexico and provide dental service there in the most rural areas you can imagine, and under some of the poorest circumstances that I've ever seen. And it was amazing, amazing to me that as I went there to quote unquote serve those people, it absolutely changed my life and filled me with such an amount of gratitude that I can literally say that every day these past 20 years since I went on my first uh, service or mission trip, it has literally benefited me beyond measure to be able to serve those humble people, because what I learned is life, success, joy, those things do not matter on the size of your home or the quality of your car or the amount of money in your bank account. Some of the greatest smiles that I've ever seen, some of the happiest people I've ever seen, probably would make you cry if you could see the circumstances of their life from a material standpoint. And so, charity or the pure love of Christ or doing things for others always, always, always comes back to benefit us more. I've had the opportunity also to work with recovering addicts throughout my 35-year dental career. I'm grateful for that opportunity, and I've never seen a more humble group of people than those that have been to the depths of hell and an addiction and come out of it. Most of them had lost all self-esteem, professions, family, freedom, uh, everything you can imagine. And to see those people fight through and to come back and on a daily basis face what they had been through with a great attitude, and for me to be able to help them, to give them a smile that was one thing that could make them feel a little bit better about themselves, and the smiles and the tears and the gratitude I saw in their hearts just never can leave me. And I know in your own lives, if you'll stop and think about it for a minute, and this isn't a prideful thing, but stop and think about some of the times in your life where you've done something good for somebody who couldn't do anything for you, and the joy and the tears and the gratitude that they had for you, and the feeling of pure joy and happiness you had in your heart in doing that good. That is charity. And the more we can do that, the more it benefits us. Isn't that a tremendous concept? You cannot get one over on God. You give him 3 and he'll give you 10 back. That's the way it works. Yeah, I've also had the opportunity to work with single mothers a lot in the dental profession. The same thing, to see the strenuous dedication they have to their family in the face of tremendous adversity and responsibility on their shoulders just overwhelm me at times. And to see that type of gratitude, that I know that those are the things that we should be doing. I'd like to mention a couple of examples in my life. I've had a lot of them, but one that I want to talk about was a good friend of mine that I was fortunate enough to know in college and to play football with, Rulon Jones. Had a phenomenal collegiate career, was All-American, went on to play for the Denver Broncos for, I believe, 9 years, was named All-Pro and to the All-Pro team many times, did very, very well, was the AFC Defensive Player of the Year, and has just done phenomenally successful in sports, made a ton of money, owns a couple of tremendously successful hunting lodges with tens of thousands of acres and beautiful cabins and lodges, and just very, very successful person on any level you want to look at. And he and his wife, Kathy, uh, currently live down in Mexico, south of Puerto Vallarta, and have gone out there to the middle of nowhere, to the very poorest of the poor area, and have dedicated their life to living there and building up their church there in that area and serving the people in that area. And it's a phenomenally humble area. I've had the opportunity and good fortune to put a dental clinic in that area, and Camille and I have had the opportunity to go down there several times and to again serve those people, and to see that in the face of this tremendous success and wealth and opportunity that Rulon and Kathy have, and they have chosen to go off grid in a sense to serve those people that no one will ever know about. It's just such a faith builder to me, and actually one of the greatest examples of charity that I've ever seen in my life. It's a real hardship for them. They have a severely handicapped son who is in his mid-20s and is literally around the clock 24/7 care. And I've just never seen two people more committed to family and love and charity than anyone that you could think of. And I want to kind of end on that note. Again, it's okay to stop and assess your life and look at those moments that you've done that and see, is that something I want more in my life? Or is that something that I'm good that I've done once or twice? And we all know the answer to that. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this, and it's a great quote that I want to end on. He said, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." So go out there and be compassionate and honorable and useful. Perform acts of charity every day. Make that a goal. Make that a 10x goal. There's no better 10x goal in the world than to say every day, I'm going to try and change the life of somebody. And that can be done with a smile. That can be done with a phone call. That can be done with a knock on the door. That can be done with a plate of cookies. That can be done with anything you can think of. So if during this podcast, and I know it has, if during this podcast a name came to your mind or a thought came to your mind or an activity or something that popped in your mind, please take the opportunity to realize that that is God's way of saying, I need you to be that person's angel and to go perform a charitable act as simple as a phone call. So thank you again so much for joining me on this journey. It's, again, I get more out of this than you guys ever will. And I'm so grateful for that. Please subscribe and like the podcast, share it with your family and friends. And again, the purpose of the Uncle Jim Effect podcast is to create an opportunity for over 1 million people to realize their God-given potential. And then once they do that, and once you and I do that, it's to maximize that potential in the service of others, our family, our friends, and our neighbors. And as we do that, our goal is to create a tsunami of hope that spreads throughout our home, our neighborhoods, our communities, and the world. And you are the big part of that. Thank you so much. And until next time, take care and God bless.